Hey everybody, this is Ann with Doubting Believer, and I am running a little behind this week. I thought I would get this message to you earlier, but we were moving our daughter back into college this week, and so that has set our schedule off a little bit. But the good news is my daughter goes to college in central New York, and so following dropping her off and all the excitedness and the sadness that comes with leaving your kid at college, we decided to stay a few days extra in the central New York region, specifically the Finger Lakes region, which is a very beautiful area, and it's called that because there are 5 lakes, and they're literally shaped like fingers. If you get an aerial view of them, it looks like a hand with fingers. Obviously, very narrow lakes, very beautiful area. And so we are staying here in this little place called Hammondsport, and I am sitting on this porch on a beautiful day, and it's very easy to find peace here. It's a very peaceful place. Not a lot of noise. I can hear the neighbors' sprinklers. I can kind of hear my husband talking in the background to somebody, but other than that, it's very quiet and peaceful. So it's very easy to find peace sitting out on a porch in a beautiful place on a beautiful day. But that is not the kind of peace the Bible is talking about when we see peace. Actually, it's part of what it is talking about, but this idea of shalom, which of course is the word that's used in the Old Testament whenever peace is mentioned, but it means very much the same thing as the one that's used in the New Testament Greek. And my Greek is terrible, but irene, the word in Greek for peace, very much the same thing. It's not a specific thing, but it's a more holistic thing, and it's certainly not just my own inner peace. Shalom is a much broader, wider term. It means you're at peace with yourself, you are at peace with others, and you are part of a community that is at peace. And earlier in the week, I kind of got hung up a little bit as I learned, for the first time, by the way, little aside, it's one of the most exciting things about the Bible. I have been a Christian my entire life. I have been to seminary, I have been a pastor for years, and yet I still discover things I didn't know when I study the scriptures. And that is so cool. There's always something new to learn. There's always something new to discover, particularly when you hit upon something you think, what? That doesn't seem right. And then you get to delve and dig into it and see what's really going on. And so the thing I discovered that I didn't know, you may have seen on our blog that I did 10 Bible verses about peace. And the truth is, I could have written 100 Bible verses about peace, possibly 200 verses about peace. But I stuck with 10 because I wanted people, to read it. But in doing that and trying to decide which verses to share, I found out that certain translations, when they translate certain passages from Isaiah and Jeremiah, specifically the NIV, the NRSV, they translated the word shalom instead of to peace into prosperity. And I thought, aha, this is where this prosperity gospel nonsense has come from. Somewhere way back in the olden days, in the Ancient of Days, some Bible translators decided that shalom was about prosperity instead of peace, and this is why the world is a mess now. But I didn't just stop there. I actually looked into it a little bit more. And what I discovered was in those times when peace was changed into prosperity, it was times when shalom was talking about a community, a nation, the peace of nations, the peace of a community, the peace of a people that got translated into prosperity. So prosperity in the sense of well-being and safe, that was kind of how that was translated. The idea that peace, and for a nation to be at peace, means that everyone is well and safe and secure. So in that term, when we talk about prosperity, when we talk about a prosperous nation, doesn't mean that everyone is super wealthy. It means that everyone has what they need, that everyone feels safe and secure. So that made a lot more sense to me, which means if there is shalom in my community and in my country, then that means that no one should be afraid to be stopped by the police, no matter what the color of their skin. That is shalom, the sense of safety and well-being. It should mean that every child, no matter what kind of neighborhood they grow up in, could get an equal education, well-being, secure. It would mean that nobody is standing in line at food banks because everyone has plenty to eat. It means the country, the nation, the neighborhood is experiencing shalom, a sense of well-being, a sense of safety, and a sense of security. So let's not misuse those translations when we come upon them and decide that what God really wants for us is to be fabulously wealthy, because shalom translates into prosperity. Because if we dig a little deeper, we find that's not at all what it means. So I felt better about those translators, and I kind of felt bad that I thought bad thoughts about them at one point. So, we need to delve into these things and discover more before we pass judgment on, Bible translators and other people. So, having said all that, there are 3 things that I discovered or had reaffirmed about peace as I went all through the Bible, looking at what the Bible has to say about peace. And these are the 3 things. There's more, but, pastors love things in 3s. So the first thing is that peace does not exist without justice. So many times in the Bible, peace and justice, hand in hand, they go together. So, and that goes back to the community thing, that there can be no peace in a community unless there's justice for everyone in the community. The second thing is that peace is not something that comes upon you magically. You can't just sit around and wait for peace to overtake you. That peace is something that has to be hard fought. All sorts of verses about striving for peace, chasing after peace, working for peace. The idea that to achieve peace is going to require some effort on our part is very, very much biblical. It is something that we have to work for. And then the third thing, and I mean, this is a no-brainer, but we need to be reminded of things that we probably already know, is that peace does not exist without God. That the cornerstone of peace for us, for our relationship with others, for our communities, is to trust in God and have that relationship with God in which we trust God's love and God's faithfulness, even when things seem crazy and awful and out of control. That we continue to trust that the God who created us, that the God who sent Jesus Christ for us, continues to be faithful to us, continues to love us, and continues to be at work in our world, even when we can't see it. That is crucial. Those beliefs and that faith and trust is crucial for our peace and for the peace of the people around us. So, let us work for peace. We work for a lot of things, and if anything was worth our efforts and our energy, certainly peace for ourselves, peace for our neighbors, peace for our families, peace for our community. It's something worth fighting for. So over this next week, weeks, months, days, think about what you need to do for peace in your life where you are now. What you need to work for, what kind of justice needs to be had in the place of the world that you occupy right now. What you need to do to increase your trust and your faith and your obedience to God. All of these things are things that we can do to increase not only our sense of peace, but a sense of peace for the people around us and for our neighborhoods and our community. So I wish you shalom. I wish you that holistic sense of peace, where you are at peace with yourself, where you are at peace with others, where you are at peace with your world, and where your community can find some peace and have that sense of well-being and security and safety. And that being said, we're going to do one more fruit of the Spirit before we move on to some other things. And I hate to do this on so many levels, but I really think we should probably look at self-control. My least favorite fruit of the Spirit. I'm not blessed with that particular fruit of the Spirit, so it is definitely a growing edge for me. So in the week to come, we're going to talk a little bit about self-control. So have a good week, stay safe, and connect with people you love.